Was that thunder?
That was thunder.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wasted Local Talent.
Hi.
Sitting across with our new host, Josiah Jones.
Yeah, this is my first intro that I've ever done, so
Yes.
I'm just waiting for you to guide me to be great.
Well, it's been a long time since I've done one of these two because the last three, either I didn't do myself or I was either too busy. I know last week I was suffering from a migraine that kept me on the couch for about 12 hours and I couldn't bring myself to do it. So I just had to finish up the episode and post it. So
Sounds like a lot of excuses to me.
yeah, the week before that, that's a lot of excuses. But last week I really, I'd sat in the dark all day because I couldn't even have the TV on. It was bad.
Migraines are the worst.
It's because I've got a cavity and my tooth will ache, then it'll shoot up into my head, and I'm probably going to die.
You know, gum disease leads directly to heart disease, I believe, is the saying.
It does. I could just pull a Tom Hanks and Castaway and find myself a...
That's why
skate
Jed's
and-
heart's so healthy, because he doesn't actually have any teeth. I believe they've all fallen out at
Probably.
this point.
at this point. So this week we've got Nativibes on, studio and art gallery here in West Virginia. And I'd tell you about them, but you're going to hear about them here in a little bit anyway. But I will tell you about a couple other podcasts that we have under the 13 Palm Tree shade. We've got, obviously, Wasted. That's the one you're listening to right now.
That's this one.
And we have an awesome D&D podcast called D&D Kinda.
It might be my favorite.
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
We've got Video Game Mythos.
That one might be my favorite.
Yep, might be. And we have one that Josiah is a frequent flyer on, Gurus of Gaming.
Yes, I'm not an official member of the Gurus of Gaming, but I'd like to think that I'm the best part of that show. And now I'm bringing my talents over to waste them on
To
this
waste
show.
them on this show. At least you have talents to waste, unlike Jed.
Yeah,
So-
he just wastes hair care products, probably.
Yeah. I mean, where does he, where does he stop washing? I mean, does he just, wash with a bar of soap, his whole head? Or whenever he doesn't shave his head for, a week, does he still do that? Or does he use shampoo on the stubble? Or...
I would assume that whatever just rolls off his head lands on the dog, because I assume he showers with his dogs. And so he just shampoos the dog from there.
That's fair. Yeah. Which one? He's only got 400.
I believe Tater would be the most likely to be in the shower with him.
Probably. I could see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so...
Got off on a tangent there.
yeah, we're good.
Welcome to... Where were we?
Yeah. So, like I said, Josiah is a new host. I know that a lot of people heard that Chris left, and so we had to bring in somebody to help out. And Josiah, reluctantly...
Yeah, he texted me and was like, "Can you do it?" And I was like, I really could not think of a good excuse, so here I am.
It's better than what you could be doing today. It's not football season.
Yeah,
so,
it's not football season, so...
yeah. Anyway, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Just a little short bio? What would be on your tombstone?
Too old to have died tragically young.
That's fair.
I don't know. There's not really much about me. I do the Gurus of Gaming podcast. I do the Decent Christian Talk podcast. I like sports. I don't really do much. That's probably the goal of me, is to not do things in public. I like to stay to myself a little bit, and yet here I am.
Yep. Well, this isn't public.
Yeah.
People aren't seeing you, so that's
Yeah, it was nice.
So, all right. Here's Nativibes.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jed,
And I'm Daniel.
and this week we're wasting our talent with...
Ben Kolb, Nativibes.
So Nativibes, tell us about Nativibes.
So Nativibes is my art company. I'm in Mannington, West Virginia. I focus on kids classes through the week and community projects. Renovated an old B&O railroad station that I work out of and hold shows, concerts. The I don't know. It's hard to get it all out in one shot like that.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. Yeah. So how long have you been doing this?
I did my first festival in '97, and then had some very small kids and dialed it back and had a tattoo shop, kind of a bootleg in a back cottage thing for 6 years. Then got into like a logo, graphic design, and a t-shirt shop. So it was always something along with art. I did that for about 10 years. And then recently, kids get teenagers and not spending that much time anymore, not running too many places. So got back into the festivals and making jewelry and paintings and hand-painted hats and whatever crazy shit I could find and put my own spin on. And got too much. Got ran out of my that little cottage pretty much that I was working out of, and was looking for a space to rent to just to store big paintings while I don't want to get grindings on them or anything. And so I ran into that train station, and it was just it was a pile of junk in the middle of it. So I kind of took over the project and put in the drywall and built up bathroom, back office, things like that. And it's now it's a pretty fun place. We have William Matheny. He had a little album release party there, if you know him.
Yeah, I've heard of him before.
And 21 Band just did a nice concert for us there. We go every year to the Polar Plunge and dunk our dumb asses in the lake and in the icy water.
Yeah.
So they run a little fundraiser to get us up there, and all that went Special Olympics, and I think that's important, especially if you're an artist or someone who's kind of relying on people to root for you. You really have to invest in your community, and they're always the first ones, Back when I was doing those first festivals in the 90s, they were all, your local community's the ones who are coming and supporting you at first.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of owe it to them after you're relying on other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of where this spawned from, is from the cafe and the support that I had from the community. And this was a way that once we started the company to kind of give back, as a free promotion for the community, because there's nothing like it,
Yeah.
So you said you had a t-shirt company out in Mannington
Yeah.
for a bit?
Yeah.
Now, a few years ago, there was a Battle of the Bands out there.
Yeah.
Was that right next to your place?
No, but I know that guy. I'm real good friends with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was like a graphic design place that was right next to where
Yeah.
they held it, and I was wondering if it was you because my band played there.
Yeah.
So I was,
Oh, did you?
yeah.
You
we
didn't
played
knock
on
the
it.
building down, did you?
No.
You remember that?
Oh, I remember that. No, it wasn't us. That was happening beforehand, and it was right. The building across the street was falling down, like from the.
Oh,
music.
yeah. I've heard you tell this.
And the porta potties were like right underneath of it, and it was like shit.
Literally.
Terrifying. Yeah.
So wait, the building fell down?
It was starting
There
to
was
like.
probably I would say a 6 or 8 square foot chunk off of the ceiling, or I mean the top of the wall just came down into the parking lot.
Yeah.
During a show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We were kicking ass.
Yeah,
That's
that
awesome.
was fun. That was a hot day. It was like mid or late June.
Yeah.
Outside, and we're playing on the back of a tractor trailer bed, just in the open, no shade. Man, it was hot, but it was fun.
So you said you do classes?
Yeah, I do. So I travel around and do adult classes, like go to a pub. We go to Beertopia and have them paint fish or whatever. Sometimes they will use that. Bars will use that on like a Sunday at 1:00. I can come in and do a class, so at least they have 14 women in in there buying beer or something, and
Yeah.
just spark up their low times. But the kids' classes are on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and those are the most rewarding thing.
Do you have like
do.
age limitations for those, or
Well, there's no
different groups?
limitations. I'll just come up with different curriculum if we go lower or higher. Like Mondays is elementary school age kids, like kindergarten through 4th grade. It's burdensome.
Yeah.
That one is
Herding cats.
I've got about 11 of them in there now, and if I get more, I'm going to have to split. I've got a helper that comes with me now too. Then, but it's still rewarding at the end of the day when they're all leaving, and I give them a high five and tell them I'm proud of them. And
That's awesome.
then Tuesdays is the middle school kids that are the numbers dwindling down a little bit then, because more of them realizing maybe they're not that interested in it, but the ones that are a little bit more invested in it, so they do a little bit bigger projects, and I'm just starting on a high school curriculum now. We'll be getting a welder and a potter's wheel, and
Oh, that's awesome.
kind of go big time for those kids. I got a couple of the high school ones that'll be starting this year, so got to ramp up the game for them.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is it just painting? Like what all do you offer with the classes?
So I really like to focus. Not focus, but I want to make sure every 6 months we're doing something big. Seems like that's the number one thing that I see with people that fall off the wayside, that are trying this type of life, or really just trying to do anything, even if it's a mechanics business or something, just not being able to finish something, not being able to see 5 years down the road or something like that. So, I mean, on a smaller scale, I like to work on things like maybe a stop motion video, and we'll take it all the way from, I'll roll out the big sheet of paper and we'll do a storyboard. The kids will write everything. We start with an outline and concepts and a storyboard, and then start making the backgrounds and the scenes. And it's a big 4 or 5 month process that they hate. They know they love it in the end, the ones that have been there before. But when it's a writing session, those little girls tear me up. They don't want to have none of it. But it makes some really silly stories though when they're getting that way. And you can see some of them on my YouTube channel at Nativibes Studio. I think the first few videos are the last. They're the last couple, last round of their stop motion movies. We're working on one now that's a big journey to Florida. They got to make it to Florida by Taco Tuesday.
That's really cool. So it's not
Relatable.
just like one type of art. You're focusing on multiple things. You said,
I'm just kind of focusing on expression. Just
in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, a lot, especially at that age, kids might be interested in some form of art, but it could be painting, it could be like your stop motion or pottery or whatever, but helping them find exactly what they're interested in and offering all of those, it's probably really cool watching them really focus and hone in on what they really enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is interesting. And as I will give them a little bit more freedom too as they get older to just do. Might have one girl painting a dress, in one section of the gallery, and someone working on, a big cardboard boat on the other section. So, yeah, that's another we got to get into too. I guess the Seeking Stars art side also, because it goes along with rewarding these kids in hard work, teaching them how to work. It's I partnered up with a woman from the D.C. area. She's from Middleburg, Virginia. And we put on, I don't know, I wouldn't call them fashion shows, but that's the most relatable thing. I have a runway that we haul all over the place, and we put them on a runway, usually in the clothes that I make, or if I do a big run of jewelry, like I found, I was at I don't know if I want to say this and have everyone worry about wearing it. Don't worry, I'm going to clean these and sterilize them and seal them up and everything. They will be perfectly fine when you get them. But I was at the dump the other day and I found 2 hi-hats in the dumpster. So I thought, we need to have a music inspired show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut them up and make hammer them out and put some solder designs on them and things like that, and make some jewelry out of them.
That'd be really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So then a bud like that is where it comes from for our next show. Might have something to do with that.
That's really cool. I never thought about doing, because I mean, I've, being in bands and stuff, broken hi-hats or broken cymbals in general just kind of like sit there.
Yeah.
Use them for practice or whatever, but I never thought about repurposing them like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Bring them up. We'll get the grinders on them.
yeah.
And I've got the all the models that work with Seeking Stars Art that are local. They come up and help too. They'll be running grinders and whatever, chainsaws, whatever we're making for whatever show. But that one, so that Seeking Stars Art, basically, we just create excitement around things. Like Shenandoah Arts Council in Winchester is having a big opening. They've hired us a couple times to come in and just generate a lot of excitement around their opening. Or just recently, our biggest venture about kill me was down in Richmond last year. It was the UNOS. You ever heard of them? They are
I don't think so.
United Network for Organ Sharing. So anyone who gets a transplant in the United States, it goes through UNOS.
Okay.
Someone gets in a bike wreck in Florida, then they call UNOS. If they're a donor, they call UNOS, and they get the word out, and they find them a recipient within like 10 or 15 minutes, and they have that heart going to Michigan or something, because they don't have a lot of time for it.
Yeah.
And so, sign your license. Everybody sign your license.
Yeah.
Get your organ. Make sure you're an organ donor, because there's a lot of people on that waiting list, man. A lot of the places I toured getting ready for that show was sobering.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
There's it. That's about
So-
it for the Seeking Stars Art. I don't know. Actually, we have an event coming up. When's this? Well, the event is June 22nd.
This will be out before then.
Okay.
It'll be like the second week of June, I believe. Yeah.
It's up. It's actually up here at the Police Reserve building. We have it's a yearly event we do called Summer Vibes, and it's a place where anyone who wants to be involved can get signed up. I mean, as long as we're under the cap for the venue. And I'll do a section on wearable art. We might be painting something or might be carving something. We did some design classes last year. Sometimes I'm just talking to them about if the younger ones, I just like to talk to them about how to treat the stuff, because a lot of times after a show, I'm fixing stuff, man. They do not care.
So it's called Summer Vibes?
Summer Vibes, yeah. And if you go to seekingstarsart.com, you can get signed up if anyone's interested. It's not just for girls. I typically say that because those are the ones that are always the 3 or 4 girls are the ones that are always at the gallery bothering me, pouring concrete, doing whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
But girls and guys, we've got a few guys going. We've got a professional runway model coming from DC this year that we've worked with before in our shows in Baltimore and at DC at the Howard Theater. She's real good. She's going to teach them how to actually walk, because we like them to be a lot more expressive and fun, and they're usually wearing some outrageous stuff.
Yeah.
And I like them to act up and play with the crowd and things, but that's not what they want. If these girls are really interested in
the
pursuing
runway,
this as a career, then they need to listen to her and be a zombie up there. Yeah.
So you said that was June 22nd?
Yes, sir. June 22nd.
Yeah, and we'll
at seekingstarsart.com.
Yeah, we'll link that in the description below for anybody that's listening. You can click on that, seekingstarsart.com. Yeah. You were getting ready to start something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think a first for the show. You actually brought along a little bit of brew.
Yeah. This is one of my favorites from Short Story.
It's good too.
It is very good.
Yeah.
2 for the show. That's it.
Man,
Yeah.
it's delicious.
They were
I honestly don't like IPAs really, but I very much like this beer.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah, this one's a little on the brighter side of the IPA.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't have my favorite, the Terra Firma, but this does good.
I still have to make it out there. I've heard so many good things about the place, and I've never been.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Whereabouts is it?
Out 19, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a piece out of Reedsville.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like
I think you were telling me about it before.
it's right after
how
you go through
yeah.
Reevesville, right? And
Yeah.
you're kind of going up the hill, and it's there on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I'll have to check it out there. I didn't realize there was one so close.
Tom had told me about it
Tom from
Tattoo Country Roads.
Country Roads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he had told me about it and said that he loved it, and then I think Zach recommended it to me. A bunch of people have recommended to try it. So
Yeah, real fun vibe out there.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
small brewery kind of place. This was actually part of a little story about us. This was kind of an idea that we had tossed around in the beginning before we had even ever started recording, was that every time we would sit down, we would have like a feature beer. Mm-hmm. And we would just like contact local breweries and have them, either send us, like a 6-pack or whatever for each episode, or just buy them ourselves and just like shout them out during the episode. But then once things hit the ground and started rolling, there just wasn't time to get it set up. So
Yeah, that now that we typically do 2 a days now on Sundays. So by the second interview, we'd be just too far gone.
already be
Well,
2
now-
or 3 in.
Yeah.
Well, now you just have to do some planning and some spacing
Well, yeah.
out. So, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now.
Is right
So,
now.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, we did an episode with an old host, Chris. He's actually no longer with us. But
He's alive. He's not on the show.
Yeah, he's alive.
I thought he'd be missed.
But whenever we interviewed his band before he started,
Oh,
this
God.
man, we drank half a bottle of
No, you drank the whole
the
bottle.
whole bottle of Bullet bourbon.
Rye. It wasn't
Yeah,
bourbon.
oh,
It was
yeah,
rye.
right.
I
it was
love
rye.
that one. That one is so spicy.
It
it's
is.
so
It is so
good.
good.
It's just alive
Yeah.
when you drink it. I love it.
Like, I typically don't do a lot of editing to these because it's, but man, I had to edit that one down a lot. Like,
Daniel was
I was,
real rough.
yeah. There's a picture of me that my brother took because this is my brother's house. And I don't remember the end of the episode. I don't remember any of it. Well, it was like 8 p.m. and he saw my car outside still and was wondering where I was, came downstairs, and I was just asleep on the floor right over there. Just asleep. Like, man, it was rough, but it was fun. So,
Man, I have to get into this mode. This is nice. The podcast mode instead of when I'm doing the newspaper or news interviews to promote something at the gallery or whatever. This is a lot nicer because we can feel this stuff out. And
yeah.
That's actually good to hear, because that's
Yeah.
that's
That's what
something
we try
that
to do.
we were super worried about that from the get-go, that because you have to ask questions, you want to get into the nitty-gritty, have things explained and all that. But you don't want it to be structured and rigid.
Yeah, no,
you want people to enjoy listening to it.
Yeah, it just kind of hit me that I don't have to get out all the facts for
Oh,
the
yeah,
whole
exactly.
time.
Yeah,
We're going to
yeah.
be here for a minute or two.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, then we don't have a set of questions. Like I obviously do all the booking, so I read the bios. I know generally I don't do like a lot of in-depth research on anything because it makes it more natural. Jed doesn't know who we're even interviewing until the day of.
No, I usually ask whenever I get here.
Yeah, like we have a schedule, like a Google Drive schedule and stuff. So like the name of your business is up there on the schedule, but he doesn't go any further than that.
Who was it? It's been probably 2 months back. It was the guy that we interviewed over Skype.
Was it Jason?
Jason. I can't remember his last name.
Is that the illustrator?
Yeah. But
Lennox.
when we
Jason
were
Lennox.
interviewing him, I had told him that that I never research anybody. I never want to know anything about it going into it. And he said, it's a really good excuse for laziness.
Yeah. Which
You're going to go far in this entertainment industry.
yeah. So we actually had 2 interviews recorded. the second episode that we ever released was Bastion, Services and Solution with Justin. And why does this keep going off? I've turned it off. But the first time, because we had another female host back when it was my ex, and that I had everything so structured then that he requested us to redo the interview because a lot of stuff didn't get talked about. So Jed and I did it. And since Jed knows way more about IT, and that's what Bastion Services and Solutions is, it was such a better interview. And there's another one that we still have to get them back into to do, but it was super structured too. And it was like, man, yeah, with Underprints.
We really have to get them in.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it helps I think it helps listening to it too, like from an outside
Absolutely.
perspective, like, you know, so I've heard people tell us that it's, you know, being able to listen to it and us feeling like we're interested in it too because we don't know, and then we're asking the right questions, stuff that they're wondering, which is really cool to hear too. So I'm glad we're on the right track for that. You know?
And it's got to be a lot more interesting for you guys because you're gonna, you know, you have to go from talking Star Wars to pro wrestling to we're talking fish. I guarantee you that. If you look at anything on the Instagram there on me, it's all fish usually. Or
So you do a lot of fishing?
something. Yeah. No, not lately.
Not lately.
Last couple of years, I ain't been able to quit pedaling that bike, but but I'm.
What do you mostly
I will.
fish for?
Trout.
Yeah.
Trout.
You fly fish?
Yeah, a lot.
Fly fishing,
I could
man.
never do it.
I love it.
I
go
tried
with
to pick it up a couple of times, and I grew up just using regular rod and reel and doing it the lazy way. And
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that now. I've went hungry before on that fly. And
Yeah.
found a night crawler and had something to eat that night too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the camping aspect of it and getting back in on Spruce Knob somewhere on Seneca
yeah.
Creek or somewhere
back
in
Big Sandy
Big Sandy. Yeah.
on the backside of Spruce,
Big Run.
maybe.
Well,
Big Sandy's like the camping area.
oh, the camping area. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you just kind of circle all the way around Spruce, it's on the backside.
Okay. No, usually we're on the come down on the front side on Judy Springs. It's
Okay,
you walk in like 3 miles to it, camp there. But yeah, but that's why I was confused. The Big Run is the stream that runs off the other slope from opposite of Seneca there. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad and my dad taught me to fly fish, and I love it. I would much rather fly fish than sit there with a rod and reel and just sit. You know, fly fishing so much more interactive. But the last time we went, it was last summer or 2 summers ago, and it ended up being the hottest summer. And
Yeah, just hit the bar during the day.
Yeah, like we could see the fish. It was clear, but they were at the bottom.
Yeah,
they would not come up, man. It was so after about 3 hours of trying, we were just like, let's just go home. You know, like it was.
Yeah, I mean, if you're there just to, if you're there to catch fish, then it's just one of them times where you just go get something to eat and sit in some air conditioning until very dark, and you got about 40 minutes when the
Until
spinner
where it's
hatches are
good.
coming off.
Yep.
And catch them spinners.
I'll tell you what, some of the most enjoyable fishing I ever did. I was stationed in North Carolina, and we would go to the channels, like the man-made channels in between the rivers and the different like lakes and dams and stuff, and walk along the channels, just basically like big creeks. And we would just get real cheap short rods, and we'd go buy, 50 crickets, like live crickets, and just bobber fish for brim. Catch because there's no limit on brim. So we just walk through there. Anything bigger than your hand would keep like 50 of them.
Yeah.
Go home, descale them, gut them, and just cook them whole.
That's the way I love them, yeah.
And oh my God, like it was so much fun because you just walk up and down those rivers, drink in, fish in, get home, eat a whole, eat half a dozen with some potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing is, my dad always fishes in the catch and release areas, so we can never take anything with us. And I've still never caught anything on with fly fishing. Still haven't. And my dad's kind of taught me like the different types of flies. I mean, there's so much to it. It's crazy. And
You start tying your own flies,
that's what my dad does,
and it gets
it gets crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that us humans have like a proclivity to just make shit more complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just stab a worm in the face and and get the same goal.
Yeah.
Or you could complicate the shit out of it and spend thousands of dollars to go out and turn that water into a froth. It's odd that we do that, but you just have to challenge yourself a lot.
Yeah, I think that's what I always liked the most about the brim fishing was because growing up, all I ever fished for was trout, and I mean we did it the lazy way, just with power bait or salmon eggs or something like that, something simple, earthworms, and then with brim fishing it was like, wow, this is even easier. Like, I don't even need like heavy line. I can use like nice light line, a cheap rod. Like crickets cost nothing, and I mean brim will bite anything that moves.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to really try. Like you just get it in their general vicinity, and they're gonna eat it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with trout, they're kind of sneaky. Like you gotta do it the right way. You gotta figure out what they want to eat that day, what it is that they're biting on,
And you got to physically stay low.
Yeah.
Because you exist in their world, and you're not used to that in some other more murkier situations or whatever. But you got to stay low and not wear bright colors and things like
yeah.
that.
If they know you're there, if you're making too much noise, if you're too visible, then they're gone. They're out. I've always wanted to get into bass fishing though.
Yeah. What? So you can spend more money? That's the only thing that costs more money than fly fishing.
Yeah.
Well, so the reason I always wanted to get into bass fishing was because I could never figure out a fly rod, and bass fishing is more involved than just tossing power bait
Yeah, definitely.
into a lake and waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys are a science of where they're at in the lake during the certain time of the year and things like that. Yeah.
And how to like jig the lures, like different types of lures. You pop them different ways, and
You can fly fish for them too, though.
yeah, that's true.
I have a couple bass rods.
I will say though, I think the ultimate lazy fishing style is I picked this up whenever I lived in Mississippi. You ever heard of a popping cork?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use that a lot.
So I'd never used
when
one
I'm on
before.
the Gulf or out in North Carolina in the Gulf or down in Florida. We use popping corks with little shrimp behind them.
Yep. I don't know. So do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
So it's basically a bobber with like jingles on it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's on a slide, and so you throw it out in the water, and then you just pop it. Pop it a couple times, wait. Pop it a couple times, wait. And it makes noise, which in our world, freshwater fishing, that's like you really don't want to do that because you're going to scare everything away. Well, out in the ocean, noise attracts them.
Yeah.
So like if you're going after like speckled trout, or drum or something like that, then they're going to come to that noise wherever it is and check it out. So you just have your bait 3 feet down on a sinker, and you just pop that cork, make enough noise, they'll come over and check it out, see the shrimp, eat it, and you caught something. That's like the ultimate easy way to do it.
Yeah.
We might be running off all your Comic-Con crowd now.
That's all right. It's like, I mean, I grew up, both of my grandfathers had ponds that they built, and they both kept them stocked too. And you don't need no more renovations, Jen. But yeah, we like growing up with my grandpa. I spent a lot of time with my grandpa in Buchanan, and we'd always fish. I mean, he'd have he's got catfish in there. He's got all sorts of stuff in there, and we'd fish with Velveeta cheese.
For catfish?
For catfish, yeah. So, but yeah, I remember growing up, my grandpa's got the gloves on because whenever we caught the fish, you gotta, want to lose your fingers. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That or you get the wet cat food and some dry cat food and then chicken livers.
Oh, chicken livers,
Put
definitely.
the chicken livers through a blender and then take the wet food, dry food, and chicken liver and mash it up into balls and then freeze them.
Ooh.
You can buy that shit and make margaritas in the blender too.
Margarita sounds
That's
better
also
than
fair. The worst though is because every time I would ever go catfishing, this would happen every single time. We'd get out there, we'd have the chicken livers, all the stuff would be in the bed of the truck. We'd fish for 3-4 hours, whatever, maybe catch some stuff, maybe not, and then drive back to the house. By that time it's usually late. it's dark already because we would go out when it was getting dark.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's already like middle of the night. You get home and you grab everything out of the bed, put it all in the garage, wherever. Well, you forget about the chicken livers. I can't tell you how many times I've done this where I'll just leave a tub of chicken livers in the bed of the truck for like weeks out in the sun. Just totally forget they're back there until one day I'll either smell it while I'm, getting in and out of the truck, or I'll go to put something back there and I'll see that carton sitting there all swolled up, ready to bust, and it's just like, oh God, no. Yeah, that's the worst.
Absolutely. So those are the kind of experiences that I love to try to paint, though, and try to get through in my art. That's why a lot of it has to do with fishing, camping, and Spruce Knob and things like that, because those memories. I mean, that obviously stuck in your head, and it's relatable to a lot of people. Yeah. So that I guess that's why I'm driven by the outdoors more to do my painting and stuff.
So as far as like your art itself, like what all do you do? Like where like do you just paint? Like are you like, obviously you teach all these other different forms. Like what's your main form of art that you do?
It's always evolving. Like Nativibes actually. I have a very solid background in just 2D type art, just watercolor or paint or oil. I mean, they're all about the same to me. You just have to change up style a little bit on them. But so like Nativibes came about because I was studying ancient fishing techniques, and I was making old fish hooks. I was making them out of birch, and I mean I just did a whole board where I made all different kinds, and I really focused in on like everyone around the Pacific. Like over in California, over in California, maybe a lot of them used like a flat abalone shell that they would carve their hooks out of, or all the way over to, I mean, there's some people in like the Polynesia, Hawaii, that area, they would use the bones of their enemies and carve them out of that. That was interesting.
And now, have you done that yourself?
I try not to have any enemies, really. That's why I bring beard everywhere. But they've got them in the Bishop Museum in Hawaii, where they have some human bone hooks there. But all of their designs were just really aesthetically pleasing too, even though they were functional. And so I started making them into jewelry, and I could not have people Googling my name, because it is the same name of there's a little boy in Florida that a doctor mistakenly gave him adrenaline instead of anesthesia. And so anytime you Googled my name, that's all that came up, and I did not want to down anybody. So I had to figure out a name. And so I take the native, from those, studying all the Aboriginal cultures and using a lot of their technology to, and then I just love all the positive vibes from the festivals. And that's really my goal and end, is just all the connections that I make with people, talking to them and watching them remember something when they come up to one of my, like I got a huge painting of a lion's head up at Dolly Sods, and you can tell the people who have been there within 2 seconds when they just look up and see it, and their eyes light up, and then you make that little connection with them because they stood in that same spot that I painted it from.
Yeah.
Where's that at in Dolly Sods?
It's about, so you go up Red Creek Trail. It's about 4.5 miles in.
Okay.
You go up Red Creek, and then there's one offshoot you have to take to the right, and that gets you up into Lion's Head.
Is Red Creek the one where, if you're coming into Dolly Sods from the south end?
It's off of 19, coming up from Harmon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the first ones on the left? Off the gravel road whenever you're coming in?
Yeah, I believe.
Okay. I think I've hiked out there.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if I know what Lion's Head is.
It's a big rock structure. It looks like it just looks like a mountain lion's head sticking out.
Huh. Yeah, I definitely haven't been there. Now I want to go check it out.
Yeah.
I know that the name Nativibes, like before I even like opened the email that you sent, like the application, or I don't know if you sent it or was it your
Yeah, my daughter
your
sent
daughter
it for
sent
me.
it? Yeah. I saw the name, and honestly, the first thing I thought was like, not so much like Native American, but like that, almost like that native to really like what you're just saying, about like the fish hooks and things like that. That's kind of where my mind actually went. So the name itself actually is pretty, it describes it well to
Well,
what
good.
you're actually trying to.
Most people do a Bob Marley spin on it, and it's like Nativibes.
But see, I didn't do
not,
that, but
I do not care. I do not care,
Yeah.
and I don't correct. I don't care.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
it's with the name, you take with it, like whatever your viewpoints on it. Where like we had with Wasted Local Talent, we had some people that didn't want to be on the show because they're like, well, I'm not wasting my talent here. But I'm like, it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's about that West Virginia as a whole isn't recognized for the talent that's here.
So-
And it almost like it's just put by the wayside because people don't care. So in a sense, it feels like it's being wasted, but in reality, it's not, because the support from the community is what keeps us going. But
Yeah, so that's what
Yeah.
I'm evolving into right now evolving into right now is definitely the local aspect. I've been doing a lot more West Virginia based subject matter, and I've even for the last few months I've been going out and getting coal, and I've been grinding coal into pigment, and I'm making watercolors out of it. So I will, if you go onto my Instagram, the Instagram, by the way, is Hiker Cobb. So if you go into it, you'll see a lot of you'll probably see the progression of everything go through. But I do portraits out of coffee. There's a big section in there.
What?
And they're all actually hanging over at the Luna Bar and Grill, or Luna Lounge over on Locust Avenue. I did their front window too. It's big lit up. It's got a skyline of Fairmont with the big sunset and the moon behind it. But yeah, they're all hanging in there and just doing, just going through kind of like my pop culture type icons, like Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, whoever, John Denver, and got into some more local stuff like Don Knotts and Jerry West, and it just got me thinking more about the people from around here that are undersold, or I don't know. You get tired of going out into other states, and never mind. If you're listening to this, you probably know what I'm talking about. So.
yeah,
Now
it's underappreciation, really.
I mean, we were,
you know?
and I don't know how we get some of the things that we get, like even with the racist shit and everything. Like,
Yeah.
we were naming bridges after black guys in the 60s.
Yeah. Yeah,
We're
I
way
think it's
more
just-
progressive than anyone thinks.
Yeah, that's like it blows my mind.
And the
like,
talent and everything everything's
it's-
unsung here, and it's
Yep.
So that's definitely my focus is evolving into more of Appalachia, and really not just West Virginia, but Appalachia. My partner, who works with me at the gallery, she's from Kentucky,
Okay.
and you really get to see with her stories. Her name's Olivia Sizemore. She's you get to see how we're pretty much the same as far as Appalachia.
Now, what did you say your Instagram was?
Hiker Cobb, HikerKolb.
We'll link that in the description below too. That way people can do it. I've noticed that, which is really cool. That the fact that Wasted is focusing on West Virginia. We've had two artists from outside of West Virginia. One was Reign of Z. They their guitarist is from Clarksburg.
That's the Pittsburgh guys, right?
Yeah. And then what Jed mentioned earlier, Jason Lennox, he's actually from out of state. But we talked to him at PopCon this year, and we thought it'd be cool to have him on. But it's cool to see, like, because we get the stats of like where all of our listens, come from. And we get people use, VPN, so it bounces out of like New York and stuff a lot. But a lot of our listens come from out of state.
Wow. Yeah.
And not just from those states that run those bigger VPN.
Which is odd.
Yeah. And so
But-
it's
I think that it probably other states listen to podcasts a lot more. Than
That's
us
true
do,
too. Yeah. And I just signed us up for this podcast site called Podcoin, where they give you like coins for listening to podcasts. Like for every 10 minutes, you get a coin or whatever. And after so many coins, you can redeem those for gift cards. Well, they featured us on there. And Wednesday and Thursday, typically on a Wednesday, we don't do well on Wednesdays because it's had like a full week. The episodes have. So about 10 to 20 listens per Wednesday. We had 250 on Wednesday because of it, and all of those came from out of state. So, and we had like 30 new subscribers to it. So it was like really cool to see that people that had listened to it, even like all those people from out of state, still subscribed because they want to listen to more of it. So it's hopefully eventually this will grow into something to where it'll pull people into West Virginia and maybe help the community out more.
Yeah.
Which.
Yeah, you guys kind of be like a Robin Hood then. That's the way, the way I kind of think between Mannington and Morgantown and Clarksburg. Like, I just really want to get out and show people who it's just a day trip for. It's just an hour and a half trip for, or an hour or 30 minutes or whatever to Mannington, to let them know that this cool stuff is going on there.
There's a lot that West Virginia has to offer, especially like, you got Morgantown, Charleston. I mean, like the in between, like Clarksburg's kind of suffering just because of the people who run Clarksburg kind of are making it that way. Not on, I wouldn't say on purpose, but they're more concerned about like the bigger businesses and stuff like that, like bringing in like the government buildings and stuff like that. But Buchanan is blowing up again.
I love
like the local.
I love
stuff,
back in Traders Alley there.
Yeah.
I did a show back there last September. It was a blast.
My mom works at Fishhawk down there on Main Street,
right.
The little like cafe place. And it's crazy to see, like, because I graduated from Buchanan, and there wasn't anything downtown like the Dairy Queen, It's a few stores here and there, but I wish that I was like 10 years younger. That way I could have graduated now, because the downtown is awesome, and I probably wouldn't have gone to jail if there had been more to do downtown, So
Plot twist.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, let me get one more in before we.
Go.
Just because you spoke of give them something to do. If the kids that don't like art, I actually also do chess on Wednesdays at 7.
Chess?
Yeah, like chess club, chess night, chess whatever.
God, I've missed chess.
It just kind of started out as a few of us guys, like a Whiskey Wednesday type thing. Somebody would bring a different bottle or try it out, but then we thought, well, heck, we'd just put the whiskey away and open it up to kids too if they wanted to come, and they can come and learn, or if someone wants to come and teach or anything. Sometimes we just get into some spirited games too. But if anyone's interested in that, it's.
So do you look for volunteers to come and help you with your classes? People that are,
I look for them. Yeah.
So
I'm
how would
still
they
looking for them?
Yeah, still looking for them. How would they get a hold of you if they're interested? If they're listening right now, like, would it just be through your Instagram, or do you have an email?
Yeah, through the Instagram or through the Facebook. The Facebook /Nativibes. But my email is hikercobb@gmail.
Okay. So. Yeah, we'll put all that in the description too. That way, it's easy for them.
Right. Yeah.
So, have you ever thought about doing like a podcasting class, something like that? I'm actually in June, the first 2 weeks of June, which this will be out like right around then. I'm actually teaching a class here in Fairmont, middle school class on the introduction to podcasting.
Shameless pitch.
Yeah, I would absolutely would love to have something like that up there. I can't. The turnout is sometimes dismal. I can't promise anything, but we can put it up and see how much interest we have.
Yeah, if after this, if we want to talk about, maybe we can work something out, because I don't work. This is what I do full time, essentially. And I wouldn't mind donating my time over the summer, give me something to do, and if people are interested in it.
Yes, I know they are. I know we got some techie type guys and girls in town that are definitely working on entertainment type things, video, podcasting, just being content creators.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be interesting.
Yeah. We'll work something out.
And also I have put this out a few times and haven't got a lot of response, but I'll keep putting it out too, that I can't run everything, but if someone wants to run a poetry night or comedy night or open mic night, I would love that. Or like a Sunday improv troupe. You just meet every other Sunday or every Sunday or whatever. If someone is interested in it, they can get in touch with me about that too.
Okay. And all that would be you can do all that at your place out in Mannington.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless it's really cold.
Yeah.
That old B&O building's only good for about 40 degrees over the outside temperature.
Okay.
So if it's 0 outside, it's still 40.
It's still 40. Yeah. So that's how it is in here.
Speaking of local needs, I ran into a problem over the weekend, and I think we need to start a second business because it is saddening how hard it is to get a hold of live crawdads.
Oh, man. I'll make you some drawings. I'm not giving it to the listeners, but I'll make you some drawings later for some pepperoni traps.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because like you just can't. Like I've tried so hard to find places that have live crawfish for sale.
Oh, for sale? Yeah, I don't know about that. I know I can.
I mean,
set
I
you up
know
with
how
an
to catch
easy-
them myself. I'm just saying, like, we might need to start a second business and start selling crawdads because I'm pretty sure this is a market that needs tapped into.
Yeah. Whenever I was little, because my dad was in the Air Force, we lived up in upstate New York until I was about 10. But I remember stealing my mom's like gallon jugs for like the refrigerator. She'd like make tea in. We'd take those and we'd just go out and fill them up with crawdads.
Yeah.
We'd just go out to the river behind our house and like go up and down the river, catch those, and
Heck
shoot.
yeah, a little Old Bay and butter.
Oh yeah. We'd make seines just with sticks and just seine them.
Where were we at in upstate New York?
It was a little town called Boonville.
Boonville. I don't think I've been through there. I love Roscoe.
Roscoe.
I've been to Roscoe, Trout Town. That was like,
I'm sure my dad's been there before. He's a huge trout.
I'm sure
Trout
it was
guy,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. We were headed that way. My wife and I used to do quarter vacations, and the kids, we drug them along too when they were littler and didn't have a choice. But and we would just go to Fairmont and flip a quarter. We'd have the van and some sleeping bags and come to Fairmont and flip a quarter, whether we were going north or south. And one year we hit Fairmont, flipped a quarter, went north. Then we hit Lake Erie, flipped a quarter, went east, and we were going to be within like 50 miles of Roscoe, New York.
Okay.
And I was telling her, like, if you're a Catholic and you're 50 miles from the Vatican, you have to go to the Vatican. Well, that's what Roscoe, New York is to fly fishermen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where all the Bibles were written there.
Yeah.
That's where Lefty Cray jumped off a bridge in his waders, and just all kinds of legendary stories happened up there.
Yeah.
On, Never Sink and Beaver and some good stuff.
Have you ever been up to Alaska to fly fish before?
No, man, I'd love to.
My older brother was in the Air Force too, and he was stationed in Alaska, and my dad went up to visit him. He wanted to see his son, obviously, but I think his main goal is to fly fish up there, and he did, and he loved it.
Oh, I guarantee.
He loved it up there.
Wonder what all you can fly fish for up there. Because I mean,
sure.
you've got
You can fly
fish
salmon.
for
I'm sure
anything.
you can fly fish those. But what are those big fish up in Alaska? The ones that can get like 10 feet long.
Not
halibut.
They have sturgeon up there.
Sturgeon. Yeah, there you go.
sturgeon.
That's probably too big to fly for, right? They don't
No.
really top feed.
Well, they make fly fish. They make fly stuff for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much money do you want to spend? Probably.
That's fair. That's fair. I remember somebody once told me that they had, I want to say, it was like $40,000 or $50,000 worth of fly gear at their house.
Goodness gracious.
Like,
Oh, it's expensive. Like my
and
dad got
when
lucky.
I got shocked, she's like, "Oh no, like look, like here's this right here is just my junk rod, and the rod and the case were like $6,000."
Oh no, that's
I'm like, "Oh my god,
out of hand there.
how?
Yeah, that's a bit
why?"
Like my dad found a nice fly rod at a yard sale, and it was, I think he spent $200-$300 on it. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, you shouldn't be paying 4 digits for a
Yeah,
fly
no,
rod.
yeah, yeah. But that's the thing is like, whenever my dad first started wanting me to fish with me, he only had one fly rod, So it was like, I'll take a rod and reel and go with you and just kind of hang out while you're up and down the river fly fishing. Then he got another fly rod, then another fly rod, and so that's whenever he started teaching me how to do it, and I love it.
I always love seeing the floating line.
Yeah.
Just seeing somebody throw a floating line looks so cool.
Yeah. My biggest thing was getting it stuck across the river in a fucking tree.
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest pain for me because I still wasn't used to like how to really toss it and everything, and it would just go whoop and into trees. And it's like my dad's like, I just tied that fly. You better get it out of there.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't want to like.
I was the opposite. That's why I started tying my flies.
That's so you didn't have to worry about
losing those $1.50 flies, man. I was a climbing son of a bitch.
See, I did the same thing. I had a couple of like expensive spinners and different types, and I'd get them stuck somewhere, and then I remember I had a few whenever I lived in North Carolina that I paid more than $10 for, and it was I think I had 2 or 3 of them, and I went in the water to get them once, and after that I was just like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start buying the cheapest things I can find.
Oh,
that
yeah.
way, if I do get them stuck, I'll just cut the line, tie another one on, and just move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Big Lots sells fishing lures too.
Yeah.
But
Go hover some yard sales.
yeah, that's where my dad's found a lot of his stuff. Like, he'll find boxes of flies, and people are just, either estate sales or yard sales. People just don't know what they have, and he'll just go pick them up for $5-10, And I've actually found some really cool stuff at yard sales though. Like, found a bottle of 69 Jim Beam, and one of the old
With whiskey in it?
with whiskey in it.
Oh.
It was in the bottle. It looked like a bowling pin. Back whenever they did those, and had like a little top that you'd pull up on the top and pour it, still sealed. And man, that was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, that was probably back whenever Jim Beam wasn't terrible.
It was. Found a bottle of 86 Jack Daniels too.
You can go too far back though.
Oh yeah,
Have,
yeah,
have,
definitely.
have you tried the new release for this year?
No.
So they have their pre-prohibition recipe out this year. I was at a liquor store in Cumberland, headed to a show a couple weekends ago, and I saw that weird label and asked him about it, and he said that's what it was. It was their recipe before prohibition. When they came back online, they came back on with a little bit of a softer thing, and I'm through it. Them were some real drinking sons of bitches back then. That stuff is harsh.
Wonder if we can get some pre-prohibition Coca-Cola.
There you go.
Listen, I don't think your job would allow for that.
No, it would not. Absolutely not.
Hang out under the high-level bridge long enough, someone will come along
Yeah.
and offer you something.
They'll just give you a 2019 Coca-Cola with just a dash of
I think what kills me the most about like that story is whenever people always talk about, oh man, Coca-Cola used to be wine and cocaine, and they're always like, oh, that's crazy. Nobody thought of cocaine. Everybody just thought, oh, blah 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 blah. The thing that always immediately like comes to my mind is like, that has to taste awful, right?
I don't know.
I've had it because whenever the first time I went to Mexico, they still use the original recipe. I didn't
Like
realize
the
it.
original recipe.
And
like
I was
wine
wondering
and
why I
cocaine.
was so wired. And our translator was like, "Yeah, they still use the original recipe." And I'm like, "I want a church trip." And I want cocaine. Like, great. But it probably wasn't like the original recipe, but they still used the coca leaf and stuff in it.
Yeah.
So it was still like that. It wasn't using caffeine, it was using cocaine to give you energy. So but I mean, back then they used to do, they'd have like different things with different types of illegal drugs now. Cocaine or opium, all that stuff that was fine, and doctors used it. So
Yeah, get you some good old laudanum.
Yeah,
Get you through the
laudanum.
day.
Yep. So, but
Well, Daniel.
So the
sorry, my parents are texting me. The tree across the yard fell down.
oh man,
Oh,
Yeah, well, a couple years ago, whenever we had
it's a
that
hefty tree.
yeah, whenever we had that really bad snowstorm back in 2016.
The one that lasted like 5 days.
Yeah, like where we
Yeah.
had like 3 feet of snow or whatever. One of the big branches fell off that tree and totaled one of their cars.
oh man.
And my dad said he just told me he watched that tree start to fall, and he was just like, his car was parked underneath of it, and he was just like, not again. But luckily it fell the other way this time.
Oh, jeez.
So So yeah, sorry, I was looking at that. Like, can't go through that again. But
All right. So, well, I can go back to more through the evolution maybe then. Let's see. I started, what did I do then? I used to carve funguses. I would go out on trees.
Carve funguses.
Yeah, so there's a fungus called an artist conch. And it's those big woody mushrooms you see growing on the side of a tree. They're hard as shit. And and they have a real white bottom to them. So I would kind of treat them like scrimshaw, actually. What?
said same. Sorry.
They, yeah, so I would kind of treat them like scrimshaw, and I would scratch pictures in them and put ink in them, and then mount them on pieces of chestnut or something pretty. Something had a pretty root. Usually.
Oh, that would be awesome. Then you could just hang it on the wall.
Both, yeah, hang on a wall or sit on the desk or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
put felt on them. You could sit them down, and I made hanging ones too. And but then after that's when it came through. Then I went into the tattoos and everything. But yeah, now it's pretty much watercolor. My art is pretty much just watercolor, acrylic, and oil, and
Yeah, I saw
whatever the hell I find.
I creeped your Instagram a little bit. I saw the watercolor of the red eft.
The what?
The newt.
Oh, the Hellbender.
Well, I saw the acrylic hellbender, and that one was awesome on the map.
Oh, you mean the orange one with the blacks?
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an older one. Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. All right. I never knew the name of that. That's a red eft.
Red eft, yeah. It's
Oh,
the
okay.
so I don't know if you ever seen them in the.
No, I see them all the time. I love them. Yeah.
Well, so you see the little red ones with like they're like orange, and then they have like the dark red spots.
Yeah.
With like the black circles.
Yeah.
And then if you've ever seen in creeks and stuff, there's bigger ones and they're green, but they still have like red dots with black circles. So that's actually the. Oh, I'm not going to be able to remember the name. It's Eastern something salamander. And they're born in the water. And then they hatch into tadpoles. And then they develop into, they eventually grow legs. And their gills absorb into their bodies. And they go up on land. And when they go up on land, they're called red efts. And they go up on land so that they can move from like one body of water to another. That way, if the body of water that they were all centralized in were to dry up, they wouldn't all die because they're moving to like other water sources and they're propagating.
Yeah. You even see them squirrel hunting. If you're just squirrel
Yeah.
hunting and kick over a rock, you might see one out in the middle of the woods.
And they'll stay that way for like a year or two, I think. And then once they reach their adult stage, they go back into the water, they regrow gills, and then they actually don't regrow gills, but they turn amphibious. And they get slimy skin, go back into the water, and that's whenever they actually breed and then lay eggs.
Man, you are super into salamanders.
So growing up, I was like really big into wildlife. I used to have like all kinds of books and encyclopedias of stuff, and I would go out in. We had like it wasn't actually very much. It was maybe like 2 acres of forest behind our house in Bridgeport, and there was a creek that ran through it. So I would go out there all the time and catch all kinds of bugs. I had like a foam board in my room, and I would go catch bugs and pin them to the foam board and look up like what species they were, and then I had a label maker, and I would like label them and everything.
Good deal. That is, that's fun to get into the weeds that much on something.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I did with the fish hooks too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you can kind of, the wildlife's there, like no matter what, it's going to be there whenever we're gone.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just always interested me a lot to know things about the wildlife,
Yeah, absolutely. It's some of the things are so surprising. I always equate like that's why I have a little bit of a thing with butterflies and mayflies. Which I even have a tattoo of the butterfly there. This is they kind of, they're so pretty for just a short amount of time. They always remind me of like Jim Belushi and Janis Joplin, and or not Jim Belushi, but John Belushi, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, whatever. That's how I make the connection in my head, that they burn the brightest for the short amount of time, and they live as caterpillars, and mayflies live as these ugly ass little bugs on the bottom of on the bottom of the creek for 2 years, and then they hatch for like 2 days of just sex. And then when the females lay the eggs, and then it's back to living like a worm for the rest of the time. They only get to be pretty for a short amount of time, and they sure are for that time. But I guess I'd romanticize that a little bit too much. But
I love moths. Like just the different. I mean, there's so many different types of moths. Like the big. I mean, I just love seeing them. I know nothing about them, but I think they're.
I love
really cool.
And I've only been fortunate enough to see them a couple of times, but they're called
Like centipedes,
lunar.
millipedes?
No, fuck centipedes. Fuck
He has a fear of centipedes and shit.
no,
Like,
no.
Oh, man.
dude, I saw one the other day on the side of Eric's house that was like, it was like
Nope.
that long, and like it was a good almost 2 inches thick, and I was like,
Absolutely
man,
not.
I almost sent you a picture, but
that's some rainforest shit right there.
dude, it was disgusting.
Nope.
Yeah, the lunas. Those are the big, pretty green
The
ones.
green ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I've seen them twice, and only one of them was actually alive because they don't really come out much during the day, right? They come out like at dusk.
You know what? I've
And at night?
never really seen them actually out. You just kind of see them like in the morning if they get caught somewhere that they're not used to or something. Then you kind of see them hanging out there.
I remember at our house actually. It was like right after I had bought my house, and I was sitting on my back porch one night. I smoke a tobacco pipe, and I was sitting out there smoking, and I heard the wings. Like I could hear the
They're substantial.
Oh yeah,
and I saw it, and there it was. Like, I could just barely make it out from the light that was coming out of the house, and it flew over and it like landed on one of the pillars of my back porch, and I walked over to it and I checked it out for a while, and I mean, what a cool looking thing!
Oh, yeah.
Like, how awesome! But I saw another one, and I don't remember where, but it was dead. It was a whole intact moth, but it was like in a parking lot, and it had just landed and died. But yeah, those are the moths that I think are sweet.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
when you see
they're-
the huge ones, like those are awesome. Now, if you've ever heard of a hawk moth before, not a lot of people
I'm out.
have, and not a lot of people know what they are. So a hawk moth
sounds horrifying.
is a moth.
That's the ones where you beat your neck with your hat real quick.
Yeah.
Thing off of me.
So basically, it's kind of unlike most moths. It's a very fast and agile moth, and it feeds exactly like a hummingbird. It has a really long proboscis that it rolls out of its base, and it'll hover in place, and it'll suck the nectar out of flowers, just like a hummingbird will. My brother-in-law, well, now he's my brother-in-law. At the time, he was my sister's boyfriend, and my sister were sitting on the front porch of our house growing up, and we have these. Well, my mom had these hanging plants that hung on the front porch. Well, I guess one of these hawk moths had flown over and was like getting nectar out of the flowers, and it was nighttime. It was dark. Something about him, like, interested this hawk moth, and it just like attacked him. So we're all sitting in the living room watching TV, and we just hear them like yelling, and like we run out there, and he's in the yard running around like throwing his hands all over the place, like trying to figure out what this thing is that's attacking him. And they thought it was a hummingbird,
Yeah.
but it was nighttime, so hummingbirds don't come out. So me, of course, being young and like as super interested as I was in all things bugs and lizards and creepy crawlies, I started scouring my books, and I found the hawk moth, and I saw that it was local to our area. So I was like, that had to have been it, because hummingbirds don't go out at night.
Now, how big are these things?
About the size of a hummingbird.
Oh, that's way less than the name.
Yeah,
you'd
maybe,
say hawk
worried.
moth. I was thinking something like fucking,
No,
Yeah, I was
like
no.
almost a foot, and
No, I
Keep
mean,
the dog inside.
Yeah,
maybe a 4 or
Okay,
5 inch wingspan
well, still, I mean, something like that comes at you, especially at night.
at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, is it a bat? What is
What
it?
is happening?
There's
So-
that part, that hover, and that reminds me of you know where Slady Fork is?
Slady Fork.
Yep.
I don't
I've
care
been there
about
before.
familiar.
I would have never talked about it before, but I don't care about advertising it now because the state went and made it a either fly fishing only or catch and release. I don't know.
It's catch and release. Me and my dad fished up there before.
Yeah, it used to be a hidden little gem, man, that
Yeah.
you could walk up to, but you'd get way up in there, and there's birds called cedar waxwings, and they look like they're cardinals, but they're smaller, and they all look like the female cardinal. And those little bastards do not care about getting right up in your eye and eating the bugs. They like eating the little pecker gnats that are flying around your face. And they
Really?
it's an adventure. You better have your glasses on up there.
That's actually where we went the day that I said earlier, where it was like the hottest day of that summer.
Oh, okay.
That's where we were at.
Oh, Christ. That's like a mile and a half walk up to there.
Yeah, yeah, it was miserable.
Yeah.
Yep. But I love it up there, then.
See, that's where my style of fishing
yeah.
pays
That's a
off.
beautiful area.
Because you just find a nice spot in the shade, throw.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered that day.
Get about
the fish
three.
were not. They didn't give a
No.
shit. They did not care. Yeah. It's like you could have thrown anything in that water, and they just kind of like looked up at it, and they're like, nope. So, I was sitting there, so I tried. He brought regular rods and reels too, and we tried both of them and just tossing them out there, and the fish just did not care. Because you could, like, it was clear, you could see. Hadn't rained in probably a week, and it was hot, so like the water was low anyway, and it just.
Well, see, that's the benefit of bank fishing, though, because you just throw your rods out there, find
just sit.
find a shady place to sit, and just start drinking.
Wait a minute. Ain't nobody said you can't get drunk fly fishing.
That's true. It's true.
Well, but you're not going to be in the shade more than likely, because you're going to be out in the middle of the river.
Yeah.
If you're waiting.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You can get
yeah.
a few more. You're nice and cool with
You
the
get-
water running. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite authors, Robert Travers or John D. Volker. One of them is his pen, and one of his real name I don't remember. But he wrote Trout Magic, Trout Madness. But he always talks about dropping them as he's going up, dropping the full beers as he's going up the stream, and then fishing his way back through and emptying them. It's one of my favorites until some little bastards following you and getting your beers.
Yeah.
I just can't do that anymore. Now the streams are getting a little crowded.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing. The first time my dad took me fly fishing, I forget where it was. It was up around the Canaan area, somewhere back in there. We got a cabin up there for a couple nights, and it was like everywhere we went, like all the spots that my dad would go whenever he was like a kid, or all these spots that he thought was hidden. I mean, it was just packed full of people. God. And you just like, I'd rather like fly fishing. Like if I'm fly fishing and there's somebody even 20 feet upriver or downriver, it's like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like you don't want, and these people were like, under this bridge, because there was a big spot under this one bridge where my dad used to go. There was like 15 people down there fly fishing. It's like, no, we'll just go upriver or downriver or whatever. It's like, why? Like, and then they all congregated there. It's like, why?
Yeah.
None of you guys are going to do anything.
I would much rather just stand in the rapids and froth the water and catch shit than
Yeah, exactly.
than have to fool with that. And I that's what I do up at Erie. My game plan is usually just to go to the mouth of the river and then walk upstream.
upstream.
Yeah, go where it dumps into the lake and walk upstream until I don't run into anybody because they're coming there. They're not like a stock trout. They steelhead they're always running up the river. So yeah, I can't stand to be around people. And up there, that's hard. But you just go during PA's deer season. That's the trick, by the way, for all us West Virginia guys. Just because their first week of their buck season is our second week of buck season. So we've already got our deer. We go up and take their fish then.
There you go.
Can I used to hunt and fish growing up, and I don't really do much of either anymore, but I quit hunting way before I quit fishing.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, it's just not worth it anymore.
But just enjoying hunting, though, is, you know what I mean?
Like, I enjoy hunting. I do.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's...
I'm not into hunting and fishing for the money. So
it's
it's for spiritual healing.
It's getting harder and harder and harder to find. Like, I remember growing up, we had dozens of places that we could go to hunt. Farms, people's land that we knew, people's land that we didn't know that they were okay with people hunting on it, just open public places that you could go hunt that not a lot of people knew about. And it just seems like anymore, anywhere you go, if it's not private
there's
land,
a lot of vitriol around it. especially if you're trying to stick in this area and only be a 20-minute drive from your house, if you live around here. But if you want to invest 2 weekends a year, that's your trip is to go and hunt. The Mon National Forest is huge, and it's great, and lots of super convenient campsites down around Gandy and Glady, and like up Glady to the left there. That's one of my favorites. I love camping there. But yeah, you're right. For me, it's more of it's not that it has to be worth it or not. For me, it just has to be maybe to heal you a little bit from being too human for a while or something. I don't know. And then you look at all the stupid stories about Monsanto or whatever is going on with all of that shit and the meat you buy in the store, and just all of that stuff makes me want to more and more just get luckily we get a beef off a farmer, so so we don't and you know what, when we go to a barbecue, maybe where a lot of other couples might bring meat too, and they have their Sam's meat sitting there, and we have ours maybe from our local farmer, and ours within 20 or 30 minutes will be starting to get a little gray tinge to it.
Yeah.
Theirs will be bright as hell.
Bright red. Yep.
Yeah. It's like, what are they doing to that shit?
Yeah, I know,
to
right?
make it stay that way.
Just all the hormones and crap they pump into it.
Yeah.
Like farm red, like my parents would, for a while there, they were buying half a cow every year from a local farmer, buying a pig every year, getting the bacon and the ham and all that. And
it's got to help in the long run. You got to live longer, man, doing that shit.
And it's so much better.
Yeah.
It tastes
definitely.
so much better.
Yeah.
Like it's like venison. Like I love it. Like, and it took me a while whenever I was younger to get used to the taste of it, because it tastes different.
It tastes a little different.
And same with like farm raised beef or pork. It tastes a little bit different than what you're going to buy in the store, but after you get used to it, there's nothing like it.
And really, you just never cook it over medium.
Yeah,
You can't get venison over medium.
Yeah,
It's
no,
too
See, I
lean.
don't know. I might
You not a
catch
fan
some
of it?
shit for this, but like, I've never really cared much for deer meat.
really.
No, not really. That's another reason why I don't really hunt, because I don't see the point if I'm not going to eat it.
Yeah. If you're not going to eat it.
if
no.
you're not going to eat it,
And
there's no point.
I mean, I don't mind hunting and giving somebody else the meat, but then it's like, if I'm going to go through the trouble of going out in the woods,
killing a deer,
sitting for a while,
gutting it,
killing something, gutting it, quartering it,
Yep.
getting it cleaned up so I can take it to a butcher and get it butchered, and then give it to somebody else. I don't know. That's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Now I
work,
will
yeah,
say
yeah. You like deer jerky?
my Achilles heel. No, not really.
Really?
No,
Man.
I like elk
That's
jerky.
my
where my
buddy.
wife. That's where my wife draws the line.
Man.
I like
Deer
elk
jerky all day long.
Oh, me and
Now,
my buddy
okay,
would have
okay,
like
okay.
bags of it.
I will
Like,
say, I will
man.
say, I would probably
So
take
good.
an entire deer, the whole deer, even the good cuts, and make deer bologna with cheese in it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You give me some
Yeah.
good deer bologna, I will eat that whole thing. I love deer bologna. But venison, yeah, just straight venison.
I love it. My
No,
mom
my-
makes like baked steak with it.
my
and, like,
Achilles
all sorts
heel,
of
though,
stuff. Oof.
Is
Yeah,
if
so
you get
good.
some crispy bacon, some fresh trout fillets, pan fried, and some ramps and
Shit,
some
yeah.
potatoes and maybe some onions.
Morels, if you're lucky.
See, I've never had them.
Oh man.
I've never had them. I know what they are. I've never had them.
Yeah. Well, look me up next April
Yeah.
15th. We'll get out. I'll show you some. I
Go
got
hunt-
a
go
couple
hunt some
secret
down.
spots. I'll blindfold you.
Yeah.
So both of you guys being, country guys, how do you feel about ramps?
Oh, I love
love
them.
ramps.
Oh my God.
I eat
I
ramp,
absolutely
anything.
love
Okay,
ramps. Yeah,
cool.
I will
As
eat
long as we're on the
ramps
same page there.
with anything.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
hate my house smelling like food. Like whenever I cook and the house smells like fish or whatever forever. Like even trout. Like
Oh, yeah.
as much as I love trout, like I hate whenever you cook trout and then your whole house just smells like trout
Yeah.
for 2 or 3 days. Like I hate that. But ramps, like I could
yeah.
give a shit less if my house smells bad. I don't care. I want
yeah.
ramps. Like
So good.
I do caricatures, and at festivals or like a corporate gig. A corporate might have me come in or whatever. But I went over to Mason-Dixon Park a couple weeks ago. They were having their ramp dinner, and I was actually part of a little project where there were 10, I think, West Virginia artists, and we made some fairy houses around Mason-Dixon Park. They have a trail there to get kids out and get them out on the trail, get them outside. And they brought some of us in to do that. And in return, we got to work their ramp dinner. So I just set up out in the parking lot doing caricatures. But, God, they had everything. They had ramp cake. And
Never heard of ramp cake before.
Ramp cake.
I've heard of a lot of different stuff with ramps, but not ramp cake.
Listen, there's a line, and I found it that I'm probably not going to cross again. But everything up to that was just perfect. The wontons, they made ramp wontons. Oh my God,
that would be good.
Man.
Ooh. Yo, with like some cream cheese.
Yeah, that's what it was. Cream cheese and butter and ramps in the middle. And
that would be so good.
if I was humming that night. Whew.
Oh, I wasn't hungry. My God, that sounds good. That sounds so good.
I haven't had ramps in like 2 years either.
You know what would be good?
Like, man, I want some ramps.
Some make a homemade white pizza with ramps.
With ramps on it? That would be good. I love
What's
white
with
pizza.
the white pizza? What's wrong with regular pizza?
I mean, I guess you could do it on regular
Regular
pizza
pizza.
too, but like I was just thinking like on a white pizza with like
Well, I mean, what constitutes a white pizza, I guess I'm asking.
well, you do like a more like it's like an Alfredo base.
Oh, I'm in. Hell yeah.
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 So
All
like
right.
instead of red sauce, you use like it's like an Alfredo sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had now Mountain State has a ramp pizza when it's in season.
Really?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I love their
Wait,
pizza.
let me make sure I'm telling the right one. It's the one down by the river, not the one by the PRT. Which one's which?
Mountain State is over by
Down on the waterfront?
Waterfront.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
the one that's got the ramp.
What's
pizza,
the one
yeah.
by PRT?
Right where the PRT crosses the river, right in town. It's another brewery. Is it West Virginia Brewery or it must be or
No,
Mountaineer Brewery?
that's Mountain. That's Mountain State, but that's their actual brewery, I think. Their restaurant is down by the waterfront. I think they're. I think they're the same thing.
The one that's down in that waterfront district. It's
Yeah.
by Oliveria.
That's Mountain State.
They've got the ramp pizza when it's in season. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna
They
have
got
to
that
try
big. They got that big stone pizza oven.
Yeah. God, I love that place. We go there every Tuesday for trivia.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's neat.
yeah. They do it at the Bridgeport location.
Oh, okay.
I think he might do Morgantown too on a different night, but every Tuesday they start at 7:00.
Huh. Is it open? Anyone just go, or is
Yeah.
it like a
No.
season type?
You
thing?
you have to get there before 7, and he'll be set up with like his laptop and everything over by where the restrooms are, over at the end of the bar. And you just go up, tell him you're there for trivia. As long as you get there, I think you have to be there by like 6:45 maybe. Okay. And he'll give you a sheet, and he'll give you a little like stack of cards, and you give him your team name, and then he'll it's pretty self-explanatory how you fill the sheet out, and you can like bid points for each question. Each round you have to bid, like the first round you can bid 1.3 points or 5 points, and you have 3 questions. So one question has to be 5 points, one question has to be 3, one question has to be 1.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to get into that if I had time. But
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what? I just noticed probably the only place where your guys is the most of your guests are kind of like PopCon, Comic Con type guests that I've heard.
That, and we get a lot of so far we've had a lot of hip hop artists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of hip hop.
Well, probably the only place that I would intersect with those guys is Lord of the Rings. So what's that sign behind you there? The that Gandalf.
The Gandalf
What that-
Smoking Club.
So he
That's
made
interesting.
these.
I love Lord of the Rings.
You took T-shirts, right?
Yeah. We had Michael had a bunch of old like nerdy style T-shirts, and I had these. A buddy of mine's neighbor moved out of his apartment and left just a bunch of old music stuff that just like didn't work. He just like he took them apart, fixed them, and some of the stuff that was just there. So that was just an old T-shirt over top of it's like an old type of stereo.
Oh, okay.
And then this one was another like a Crown
Oh,
amp.
sweet. So
that
you're
I made
using the
for him.
T-shirts for the
Yeah,
That's
and
sweet.
just cover
okay,
like
cool.
the grade on it. So
Yeah, these up here are the same way. They're just T-shirts wrapped around frames.
Yeah, they're the like the soundproofing stuff here, and I just put T-shirts around them. Just my brother just was going to get rid of them, and I'm like, well, they're kind of cool, like
Hell yeah.
designs and stuff, so
Yeah.
we might as well like repurpose them. So
Yeah,
thought
give
it
you
was kind of cool.
Absolutely.
And we got a bunch of them, but
Well,
took some of them down. We're about an hour and a half.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy cow.
yeah, it's crazy how
I
time
kind of
flies.
figured.
Yeah,
I kind of figured
So-
we had rolled over a little bit.
yeah, which is fine.
That's
you know.
fine.
Yeah.
Is
So-
there anything that we haven't covered that you want to cover? Any other upcoming stuff you want people to know about?
Let's see. I'll be at Snowshoe this weekend. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry about that. This is going to come out after this weekend. But you know what? I'm there 3 times this year, so I'll probably be there the next weekend too. But that'll be fun.
What is the best way to follow to get news about where you're going to be, what kind of stuff you're going to be doing?
Facebook/Nativibes page or the my Instagram, which is super unprofessional. I'm sure that it's
Hiker
at
Cobb.
Hiker Cobb.
And
That means you got to be in the in crowd, right? To
that's
find it.
HIKER
KOLB.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and this episode will be out on June 6th. So
All right.
it gives some time to promote for the 22nd with what
Yeah.
you're doing there.
Yeah, and if anyone is interested in helping out with community projects and everything, and I might just take a quick minute. What's always inspired me ever since it has turned into this thing where kids come and do things now is I was reading this old study about the rat park in the 70s. Have you heard of it?
No.
So they get these rats addicted to cocaine. And I'll give you the short version of it since we're rapping. But they get these rats addicted to cocaine, and then, they just get on this cocaine water until they're dead. And they have cocaine water and regular water sitting in the same cage. And then they just build this rat park for them outside, and it's everything a rat would love. There's girl rats, there's wheels, there's whatever the things to play with and run around. And they slowly got off of that. They slowly got off of the cocaine water and onto the regular water. They didn't need it anymore. So I kind of think of that in a little way too, as maybe hopefully I could be that, the park place for some of the kids that don't like soccer or t-ball or something like that, which I still have athletes that come too, but for the ones that don't, then they don't have to sit around idle. They can come down to the gallery and help out. If you see my truck there, I'm working. You can come down and help me. We'll lay some studs or pour concrete, whatever I'm doing at the time. You can help.
Yeah. And what's the address for your for Nativibes?
It's a 104 West Railroad Street in Mannington, West Virginia.
Okay. That way, if anybody, and what's your truck look like, just in case, if you want, if people are gonna see it, no.
It'll be the one that's parked there.
I got you.
It's a gray Toyota.
So, all right.
Just stop in. I'm always happy to stop what I'm doing and talk to anyone who's coming by.
Well, hey, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Shout out to Short Story for your awesome beer. Worst kept secret is terrible.
They are pretty terrible.
I've heard that before.
Good. Somebody that listens to the podcast. I actually talked to Sean last night, and he was like, "It's so funny how you guys like dog us." Because Sean's a lead singer.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I think it's hilarious how you talk about Jared skipping leg day, because Jared's just a big in the gym every day,
Super
and obviously
sweaty,
he doesn't
muscular
really
guy.
skip leg day, but you tell somebody that's like super buff and like gym head that they skip leg day, they're just like, oh yeah. So
looking a little chicken hockey.
yeah. So, but yeah, thank you for coming out, man.
Thanks for having me.
Peace out.